This summer I went to Israel to visit my family, to meet with friends, and trying to make some sense, trying to understand of how these people live for almost 2 years since October 7. And they don't just survive. They live meaningful life. What gives them the energy? What's the secret ingredient? I got the answer only on my back home. On the flight, I read a book by Catherine Schultz that is called Lost and Found. And in this book, she tells how, more or less at the same time, she lost her beloved father and she found the love of her life. She was in great pain for losing her father, and she had this great joy, which she often felt guilty for falling in love with the woman who would become her wife later on. And then it clicked to her. She said, I always thought that in life, one thing comes after the other. First I mourn, then I fall in love. But no, that's not how things happened. It happened at the same time. And she has a gorgeous description. She said it felt like tuning into 2 radio stations, playing at full volume. One plays requiem, music of agony, of pain, and one plays a love song, a song of hope, of joy, and they both play at the same time, and it gives meaning to our lives. When I got to this point in the book, I realized that all my life I missed the meaning of one of the most famous passages in the Bible. In the book of Ecclesiastes, we read, time to weep and a time to laugh. Time to mourn and a time to dance. And I always thought, and all the commentaries I read about this book said, yes, first you mourn and then you dance. But that's not what the Hebrew says. The Hebrew says you mourn and you dance. You cry and you weep. Because this is really the secret of what life is. So how do people in Israel live in the past 2 years? Well, they're very disappointed, even angry with the IDF that allowed Hamas to attack them. And at the very same time, they're so proud of the same IDF that was able to defeat Hamas and Hezbollah and the Iranians. They hate Hamas for their killing, for their murder, for their rape. And at the very same time, they feel compassion for the tens of thousands of Palestinians who lost their life, their homes, everything. They don't have to choose. They feel everything together at the same time. On Rosh Hashanah, we talk a lot about the Sefer HaChaim, the book of life. And we normally think about the book as a ledger, as a spreadsheet of pluses and minuses, of a list of successes, and then on the other column we have a list of our failures. But I want to suggest to you tonight that perhaps our life is not a book. Think about our life as a stage on which all our human emotions play at the same time. Fear and hope, joy and sadness. Joy is not waiting in the wings for sadness to end its act. They all play together, sometimes in harmony, sometimes in dissonance, but they always share the stage. And when we get it and accept it and live our lives accordingly, I discovered a lot. It really opened my eyes. And Judaism always had this message, only that it was not easy to see. Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the day of judgment, and at the very same time is Yom Harat Olam, the birthday of the world. Judgment and celebration. Those of you who have the patience to read the Haggadah before you eat, the very last thing we do before we really eat is we eat Hillel's sandwich. Remember that? What did Hillel, our smartest sage from 2,000 years ago, did? He would take a piece of maror, of bitter herb, that represents slavery, oppression, mixed it with the sweet charoset, that represents hope, put them between two pieces of matzah, and ate them. He didn't eat the bitter and then the sweet. He ate them together, teaching us that hope and despair go together. And if you're not convinced, probably the most important Jewish life cycle event, a wedding. What do you do at the end of the wedding? You stamp on the glass. And why do you do it? To literally insert sadness into the happiest day of your life. And why is that? Perhaps to teach the new couple that complete whole life have sadness mixed with joy. And they can deal with it. It's not either joy or sadness. The sacred moments are in the end. And it happens to us all the time. You stand to graduation, you feel pride and sadness for people who are not there. You wake up in the morning, you read the paper. I think every morning is a good example. You get angry and sad, and then you go outside and say, wow, I live in paradise. You don't choose. I went to visit a friend's mother at her home after she was admitted to hospice care. She was lying in bed comfortably. Can you guess what was playing on the TV across from her? Reruns of Seinfeld. It was an amazing moment. Hospice and Seinfeld. On one hand, makes absolutely no sense, and at the same time, it makes all the sense in the world. The power of and. And let me just say one word about how often we miss the meaning of joy, especially when there is guilt, when we feel joy when bad things happen. Think about being in a long swimming pool. The joys is the times when you breathe oxygen. The water is our grief, our pain. We have to get to the other side, but the water is still there. But if we don't breathe, we sink. So even during the hardest moment, we need these micro moments of joy, whatever it is. Just going outside and appreciate the beauty of nature, talking to a friend, watching Seinfeld. but that's what gives us the ability to deal with life and to find the deepest meaning in life. Joy does not betray grief. It helps us to carry grief and to live a meaningful life. I would like to end with a prayer for all of us. I will not bless us with a year free from loss. That is an impossible prayer. Instead, may we have the strength, the wisdom, and the compassion to live the sacred space of end. May we have the courage to mourn what is lost and the eyes to see what can be found. May we feel the sorrow of the world's brokenness, and may we find the strength to be builders of its future. May we carry our past with reverence, and may we step into the new year with hope. And at last, may we be written and sealed not in a book of simple sweetness, but in the book of life that is rich and deep and true and whole. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. Shana Tova.